Let's be honest, we all want Netherite, because making the best tools and armor is always right. However, should you use the tool that's good for breaking blocks, or the one that is a pain box? This is something which is really easily debated, but the truth is there are actually 5 different ways you can mine Netherite, and they all have their pros and cons, but there's one method which the overwhelming majority of players should use, and I'll give you a clue, it's neither of these two things right here. So let's go to the Nether, and let's show you how to get your hands on all of the ancient debris much better than you probably would expect from me. First things first though, hello, I'm IBX Toycat, and obviously Netherite is found in the Nether, but a common misconception is a lot of people call this ore Netherite when it's actually ancient debris. Netherite is crafted from 4 of this once it's smelted up into Netherite scrap, as well as 4 gold, so you need to get 4 of these ancient debris for every 1 Netherite ingot, as well as getting the Netherite upgrade. However, the fact that they made it much harder and people still desperately want it should tell you the result is going to be worthwhile, but it is going to take a little bit of doing once you get into your Nether. Now that we're here, let's start by addressing a misconception. Ancient debris can actually spawn anywhere in the Nether. A lot of people tell you it can only spawn at Y16, Y20, or Y10, but as long as it's not exposed to air, you can find ancient debris, which means it could be below this block. Except here's another thing that you can skip forward if you just ignore the next 10 seconds if you're in a fairly new Minecraft world, but if your world was generated before 1.16 and your Nether looks like this, you won't be able to find any ancient debris except in the new chunks. So you have to go on a little bit of journey, which thankfully, because this is an old world, I've done some fun things to it, including the very long tunnel here. It's so satisfying to have a tunnel of this size chilling in the Nether. However, if it's made predominantly of just Netherrack blocks and the surface looks like Netherrack, it's probably old chunks. So for old worlds, I recommend just finding any new biome that isn't the Nether waste, because those couldn't possibly generate before 1.16. Anyway, you want to continue your mine downwards until you reach about Y15 or so. Y15 is often referred to as the absolute Goldilocks layer for mining ancient debris. Whoa! And now you can see why. Wow, 2 of it immediately. This is the absolute right place to mine ancient debris. Just to clarify, that was a very lucky fluke right there. My inventory is filled with garbage already, but that was a very lucky fluke to get ancient debris that quickly. Even if you're mining at the exact right layer, you'll mine for a really long time before you find anything, because it's one of the rarest ores by its generation. You just mine through Netherrack endlessly, and you can see we're not finding another one. That was insanely lucky, but it's not the standard experience. But this is the right layer you want to be mining at if you want to find ancient debris. That's because ancient debris generates twice inside of a chunk. Once it generates anywhere in the chunk that's possible, and then the second time it generates is most likely going to be around Y15. Just the distribution between 0 and 32 means this is the right layer to find it to your left and right. However, because it's between 0 and 32 somewhat evenly, it means that although mining at Y14, or for example, you could also mine at Y17 or 16 or 18, you can mine at these layers and you still have a decent chance of finding ancient debris. In fact, whoa! What is with these chunks? I swear I did not put these here. I'm just having a blast of a time. You can mine at layer 18 and you can find ancient debris. It'll just take you clearly 4 times as long. I had to mine like 4 blocks of Netherrack there instead of 2. And so, yeah, this is something that you can totally do if you want to find ancient debris. However, you have the best odds at Y15. This is best summarized with a bell curve where Y15 would be there. And the reason I mention that is not to tell you that there's loads of inefficient ways you can mine. It's because there are reasons you might want to mine higher or lower. Okay, now that I've sorted my messy inventory management, or sorted for a little bit, hopefully the key point is true here, that you can mine at basically any layer you like, as long as you do it somewhere near 15. We can... Actually, wait, you know what? This worked for me the last 2 times. You could mine at Y12 as well. You're just as likely to find ancient debris here. Look how easily I'll find it. Come on, game. You know, it worked the last 2 times I said that. But yeah, finding ancient debris, you can do it at any layer. You just have slightly better or worse odds. You get better odds the closer towards Y15, and slightly worse odds the further away you get. But there are reasons we're going to want to mine at these lower layers, which we'll get into later. But for now, just make a mine down to layer 15, and maybe even make a pretty staircase into it. This is a place that is going to be very big. You're going to need so much ancient debris if you want to make a full set of Netherite, and so it's probably worth making a slightly better entrance than this ramshackled thing we have here, and so let's do precisely that. Okay, so my genius idea to keep piglins from getting in here, because I'm not going to be wearing gold armor, that's going to come up in a second, by the way, what you should be wearing while you do this, I'm going to make a big ring of fire around the entrance here, because I can jump over fire, but piglins can't. This is my very much good idea. Trust me, nothing flawed with that whatsoever. And also, oh wait, we gotta finish some blocks up here. I also decided to make it just a little bit wider at 2 blocks wide. Something about, 2 blocks really tells you this is an intended mine as opposed to just some random blocks. And then if we wanted to go a step even further, we could add some magma to this. I don't even imagine most people find this to be too dark. Having just a bit of magma every now and then gives you a little bit of light level and something to whack your head into, which people love. However, what you might not know, on the other hand, is something much more important, and that is what you should be wearing while in the mine. So, while you're around the Nether, I can see the argument that Elytra is just as good as having a chestplate on, but once you are in the mine, you can't fly anywhere, but you're going to want a chestplate, especially for some of the more disruptive methods we'll be using today. And I know what you're thinking, wow, Toycat, you're wearing Netherite armor, but only a diamond chestplate. Shouldn't you have upgraded that by now? And yes, I agree, I want to upgrade my diamond into Netherite. The only problem is, I need to watch this video by IBX Toycat called The Real Way to Find Netherite, and the only way to watch that video is if I first make it, so allow me to quickly do that so I can upgrade my chestplate. Another thing that you'll want to invest in around here is probably crafting tables. Crafting tables are great, place as many of them down as you feel like, but also it's going to be important to have some chests, because no matter which storage system you use, you're going to be overwhelmed by netherrack. Even if you don't care about netherrack, I would say it's probably still smart to pick up blocks even if you don't care about them, but even if you don't care about it, it will stop you from getting other valuable things, so just make yourself a chest, or, all we'll even do is we'll make ourselves a double chest, or a double chest, and now we can guarantee that there is some place to put all this dumb netherrack that's just bogging me down, or if I care about this gold and I just don't want it right now, but I want it later, we can throw it all in the chest. Even if you never take it out of the chest, it's fine to put it all in there. If you want to even more fun about this, you can use one block and you can move it around block by block like this, and you can deliberately fill it so it can only be used up with netherrack. This is something I love to do. But let's get into the actual mining, because as soon as you start actually mining for ancient debris, you're going to be filled with people. Wait, your mind is going to be filled with people who are telling your ears are going to be filled with people, I guess, is what I'm saying here, are going to be filled with people saying, no, Toycat, you can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you mine with your pickaxe? You should be mining using TNT. You should be mining using some explosive, and I do tend to find this varies based on platform or the severity of Minecraft, but there is a really good point that explosives are better. Let me show you a fun fact right here. Here is me mining with my pickaxe, and then here is me doing the same thing, but just grabbing a single TNT block, gonna put it way down there, lighting it on fire, and then waiting a few seconds. Not only is this easier, because I'm not using any durability, but look how much netherrack I just exploded, and how much potential ancient debris I'd find. If there was an ancient debris anywhere in this, 6 by 6 by 6 hole, that's something like 216 blocks if I did the math correctly on the spot, that if there is any ancient debris anywhere here, we would find it. To mine 216 blocks normally would be 108 blocks worth of mining through this tunnel. So the equivalent amount of mining takes this time. Okay. As I was saying, the equivalent amount of mining for the same air exposure would take this amount of time. I have started now. And just now have I finished, just under the same number of blocks covered. I have just about the same chance of finding ancient debris, except it took me that much longer. So the argument for explosions is really, really obvious and really clear that on a time level, you just save so much of it with the TNT, because not only was it faster with the TNT right there, but also I could then just light another one right up after that. This is pretty nuts by itself, but I would say TNT is actually not the block you want to be using. If you are an explosive person, and just to be clear, there's all sorts of good reasons you shouldn't be. You can't just conjure TNT out of thin air. It doesn't take you 0 seconds to make it. Even with a decent mob farm, it's still going to take you time to make the mob farm, to get the gunpowder, to craft it together, to bring it all here. But if we assume none of that is true, you still wouldn't want to use TNT. Okay, so I went back to the overworld on a small little trip, which took a surprising amount of time because, you got to get pretty deep in the Nether, so I could craft myself the 2 reasons you wouldn't want to use TNT. One of them is the more effective and cheaper explosive, and the other one is the much more fun, bigger, memeier explosive. And let's start by talking about the bed, because this is the explosion hole for a TNT. Obviously, as you saw, I made a few of these, and they're all about 6 blocks by 6 blocks big. It's a little bit less because the corners are edged out, but let me show you something fun now. We're going to need to make sure we equip our best armor for this, because the bed does not work in the Nether. Quite famously so. There are all sorts of thumbnails that will point this out to you. However, if you, were to use this for your power, you could do something pretty cool. And that something pretty cool is this. Just get round the corner from a bed and whoa, look at that. Did I find an ancient debris? Yes, I did. Even though I used 5 TNT and found no ancient debris, a single bed got me there instead. I really am loving, by the way, the exact opportune moments at which I'm finding ancient debris here. It really is working out for me. And by the way, you can mine ancient debris even when there's fire everywhere, because if it falls in, it's Netherite. It's resistant. So, having a bed will make a much bigger hole. This hole is something like, I would say this is more like 8 by 8 by 8. So, just top of my head math says that instead of being 216 blocks, that's something more like 512. Again, very basic maths. We're ignoring the left out corners. More than double as many blocks for a bed. And a reminder, what do you need to craft TNT? Well, you need to kill a lot of creepers, which takes time, or you need to build a creeper farm, which takes time, or a ghast farm, or something like that. What do you need for bed? You need a sheep farm, and you need to have at some point in your life chopped down a tree. It's so, it's so much simpler, and even though TNT is more efficient, just because it doesn't create maybe so much of a mess, there is a real argument to be had for the bed just on cheapness alone. Anyone can afford to use a bed. It'd be like, imagine if someone says, oh yeah, the most efficient way to get around is you just go by private plane. And you got to explain to them like, well, it would be efficient, except I have to work so many hours to earn the money for a single private plane flight, and maybe, and more ancient debris. But at that point, you're probably better off, maybe just paying the commercial fare, or not flying at all, because it's cheaper that way, or cheaper in time once you consider that. Time is money, and resources are money in the Minecraft world, and unless you have an unlimited amount of both, in which case you're playing creative, just do fill. You could just give yourself a stack of Netherite, actually. Save yourself some effort. But if you are in creative mode, obviously none of this applies to you. But if you're not, the bed truly is wonderful, and the only real downside against TNT is the fact that you can't detonate it remotely. I mean, you can detonate it from a distance, but you have to be there. You can't fire an arrow at your bed, or you can't light the bed on fire and then get well out of the blast zone. You are always at slight risk of taking damage, and that is something you have to put up with, which is kind of scary to a lot of people. But you can do lots of explosions in quick succession by placing down your beds and then being fully ready. This is really nice. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely, a big benefit. However, it wouldn't be fair of me to say that the bed is so much better based on its explosion range and then not mention the big daddy explosive in Minecraft, the End Crystal. And the End Crystal does actually have all the advantages of the bed, but also all the advantages of TNT. You can light this fire from a distance, so here I am quite some way back. I'm going to fire at it, and just look at the size of the hole that makes. It is absolutely huge, going in all directions, slightly bigger than the bed, although it's more limited and it's very upwardly aimed, so you need to place this quite low down. This is a really big source of explosion damage, and we can place another one straight afterwards if we want to. Let's have another End Crystal go right over here. This is the prime way. Again, if you were playing creative, this would be the way you want to do things. These blocks are really janky, and honestly, I have all sorts of reservations about them, but if you just place them slightly lower down than your other explosives to avoid gravel, lava, all those sorts of things falling on you, you can mine much bigger areas and also much more consistent ones with a flat floor. The prime explosive has to be the End Crystal, because unlike beds, which cause a fire, and unlike TNT, which barely cause an explosion, the End Crystal is the premier way, the white glove service way, to do mining. However, the reality of crafting these, if you look at the recipe for crafting yourself an End Crystal, actually wait, rather than killing these guys, shouldn't I just save myself some pain and make an End Crystal or something? But the true way to mine would obviously be the End Crystal, except if it were, for one thing, the way it's crafted. A bed is crafted from wool and literally just wool and wood. A TNT is crafted from sand and gunpowder, which are, they're not impossible to get. This is crafted from glass, ghast tears, and Ith Enders. You need 4 separate ingredients, and you need to craft 2 of them together. You need to smelt one up, and the other one's really tricky to farm. You need to have all of those things combined to make End Crystals, which you don't really need so much for the other 2. So on a complexity level, again, assuming that you're not infinitely wealthy, at which point, if you have that much Minecraft resource, are you really watching a tutorial? No, you have a limited number of resources, and so the question is beds or mining? Okay, so the matter is settled. If you're going to be using explosive mining for 95% of people, your best bet is not going to be end crystals or TNT, but it's going to be the humble bed. You can craft these super simply. You just have to re-up your inventory every now and then. Wool is very easy to find. Beds are very easy to find. It's very simple stuff to happen. However, there is still a debate about how you should do mining if you're going to. So here I am mining along at Y11, kind of inefficiently. The right layer, if you are going to mine, is about 15 or so. There is some debate about how you should do this, but there's two major techniques you should do once you're around about layer 15. I'm gonna just walk dangerously past this end crystal over and over. I'm sure that won't have any downsides for me, but yeah, there's two ways that you should consider mining, and one of these is just to mine in a straight line and ignore everything that isn't Netherrack. Netherrack is one of the very few blocks in Minecraft you can instantly mine, and so why would you not take advantage of it? It's Minecraft. You want to do the most mining possible, I imagine. And so that's a thing you can do. You can patch up any lava you go past, and you can just kind of go through things as simple as this. The second method is to say, wait a minute, no, we're trying to expose as many blocks as we can. Again, ancient debris only spawns when not exposed to air, and so we should be mining every Netherrack block as much as we can, just to see what else is over there. This is a theory that entices a lot of people, because you might say to yourself, wow, unlike Netherrack, which is just, not yielding any results, gravel is going to yield great ones, and so people will destroy entire stacks of gravel. I've got a fortune-free enchanted Netherite shovel right now because of recent things with clay, and so now I'm just getting stacks of flint, which I'm going to have to come up with a use for at some point. I'm going to have to make so many fletching tables to make this make sense. But as you can see, destroying all of the gravel is something you could totally do. But what, and it seems like a great idea because you make yourself kind of a cave, except any one of these blocks could have been a ancient debris. It's like mining a TNT, but there was no risk to you. But this is actually a little bit of a flawed methodology. And the reason why is because you could have also just been mining more, blocks with your pickaxe. You could have just been making one of these giant tunnels just like this, dig around in a big circle, and you could have done the exact same thing. The reason you don't do this though with a pickaxe is because it's not the most efficient way to mine. A lot of people will tell you, yeah, gravel exposure is really important, but it's actually not. The most important thing is just exposing the most fresh new blocks, and as, the tale as long as time, is the way you do this is not by digging out giant swaths of gravel, as tempting as that is, and as much as you might want to have so much flint that your inventory literally is full of it. Okay, we'll empty this stack out, and we'll empty the blackstone on the ground, and now we can go pick up all of that lovely flint from before. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm gonna have a fletching table paradise, and none of you are welcome to join. But assuming you don't want to make a fletching table paradise, the best way is just to mine in a straight line, and then if you want to turn back on yourself, leave at least 3 blocks between yourself, or if you found a bunch of Netherrack, you'd go a whole chunk over, 16 blocks. But once you've done that, then you can go straight back down yourself and keep mining in this straight line. That is all you've got to do, and in fact, the other thing that you might get mixed up is thinking, wow, yeah, thank God I have a Netherite pickaxe. Mining Netherite is so much easier once you get one of these. But here's the fun fact. The way that blocks work in Minecraft is once you get past their instant mine speed, i.e. it takes 0 seconds, there is no additional speed you can get. Oh wow, actually, this gravel technique, I say it's not very good, but then, wow, there's ancient debris. I mean, I had to be proven wrong at least one time in this video, but unlike just finding that one debris there, let me whip out this Efficiency 2 diamond pickaxe, and you'll notice something quite interesting. Whether I have the Efficiency 5 Netherite pickaxe, or I have the Efficiency 2 diamond pickaxe, I have the exact same mining speed. I'd show you the maths on that, but I'm sure you can just see that visually. And so now that is the best way to mine. Use a diamond pickaxe because they're disposable, and this takes a lot of experience to fix, and even if experience is basically free, you probably have more diamond pickaxes. So yeah, use a diamond pickaxe if you have them available. If you don't, just use whatever you can, and mine from a distance. This is the best way to mine. You branch mine, and you branch mine, and you'll find ancient debris like crazy. I mean, again, just solely while recording this video, I've picked up how many ancient debris? 9 at this point? It's pretty wild in my opinion, but something even wilder than getting that is the question about whether you should, you want to get a bunch of Netherite, should you do it with mining or should you do it with explosions? These are the 2 main methods. We've kind of brought it down from 5 methods down to 2. Which of these 2 methods is better? And ultimately the answer is, well, it really depends, doesn't it? It's annoying when you get to a lot of things in life, the answer is it depends, and explosions versus, mining is no different. If you want to get the most efficient, the most amount of ancient debris, you have a real time limit and you want to get ancient debris done really quickly, then yeah, you should use yourself some explosions. You should just start mining around the place, placing down your bed as far away as you can actually get it on the ground. Can I place one there? Yes, I can. And then you should go again and place another one and get that onto the ground if you can. And then we'll do precisely that. And then you should go again and you should, maximizing your bed placement is a really, really, really important thing. And so, okay, let's launch that one over there. And then let's launch this one over here. And then let's launch this one over here. This is the most efficient way in terms of time. If time is a really limited resource for you, do precisely that. I already found another ancient debris, but I would say make sure to bring some fire resistance. You can't take these fire damages forever, especially in the Nether. Oh, wow, we found another one. Look at that. So that is 2 ancient debris there. That is 1 ancient debris over here. And that is, how much over here, right? We got some extras? No, we got just 3. So 3 ancient debris in literally, like if you measure the time on it, it's pretty wild. That's really good. Whereas when we're mining, it's never going to be that quick. You can't displace 1,500 blocks off Netherrack as quickly with a pickaxe. And so if you're thinking about just the time of mining, explosions is the way to go. There's never a question about it. However, it's a bit more complex, right? Because not everyone likes being lit on fire. Personally, I have this crazy opinion, if you've never heard the story from me before, this is sort of like a let's play. The first time I was in high school, I met like someone who seemed like they were friendly. He invited me to his house, and he showed me a cool trick where you could put lighter fluid on yourself. And long story short, it doesn't actually burn you for a few seconds. I did something very silly, got horrific burns, and he laughed, and the whole time, I've got these huge scars on my arm that have lasted from that, as a reminder of just how dumb you are when you're a teenager. But the interesting thing about that story is the fact that, wow, fire is bad, and I have learned that the hard way. I think everyone has an experience with something where it's so horrific you realize, this is why people don't jump in fires all the time. People are not lighting themselves on fire all the time because it's not fun to be on fire, and you shouldn't have to be 14 years old to work that one out, but you better believe I was anyway. But yeah, this is just the fastest way, and if you have fire resistance, I would light myself on fire if I had fire resistance in real life, but I don't light myself on fire because no such potion exists. Minecraft is a fantasy game, as they'd like to remind us. But yeah, having fire resistance means you can get actually pretty close to these explosions. This one is way too close for me, but as long as I'm round a block as I do it, there are no issues. And so yeah, finding ancient debris, this is the best way, fastest way to do it, but it's also high stress, in my opinion. Even with fire resistance, you're still at the permanent mercy of a random explosion killing you, and it's also a little bit less calm, relaxed, and explory. You make these giant holes in the ground that are really hard to turn into something else. You can mine away the pillars and try to make it something, but personally, it's a nice way to find ancient debris in a hurry if you had a time limitation. But I would say that mining is a much more relaxed process. Sometimes you run across lava, and that's about, sometimes you run across piglins, and those are about the worst things that can happen to you, which means otherwise you can spend a little bit more time focusing on enjoying yourself, and that is a big difference. You can listen to a podcast or a YouTube video. You can actually have a lot more chilled of a time. I personally, when I'm playing Minecraft, I have a lot of time to think. I like to have deeper thoughts. That's what part of this Let's Play is all about. While I'm playing Minecraft, I'm if an alien species came here and saw us actively harming ourselves and saying we really don't like it, but then continuing to harm ourselves, would they believe us? How is it that we have all these destructive behaviors? You could have these conversations in your head, or with YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever. You can have a much more relaxed time, and then more importantly, you can also start to customize which resources you get. I actually want a bunch of flint because I guess I'm actually going to make a bunch of fletching tables. But maybe that's not your biggest priority. Maybe your biggest priority is blackstone. In that case, whenever you come across a pile of blackstone, you could actively mine it all up, because then you could make some polished blackstone. It's a nice color. It's really underused. Everyone uses deep slate because it's so common, so pick yourself up some blackstone. I love the idea of having an activity that is more relaxed and allows you to do some stuff, and it's technically not the most efficient, but ultimately in Minecraft, the most efficient way to do anything would always be a, automated mega piston that flies across your world and destroys everything besides the ancient debris, because pistons can't push that. You can always automate a task, and ultimately, if you automate tasks you don't even want to. Oh, look, wow, I was having a good time talking about how aliens would assume we actually enjoy hurting ourselves, and then I found myself in ancient debris. It was less stressful than all of the, like explosions, and although it might have been slow, oh wow, there was some up here too. That's crazy. I guess this must have been one of the, oh, I think these were the end crystals from before. They all detonated. Why did they detonate? What happened? Okay, whatever. So this is the end crystal, actually. I can't say this is an amazing... And by the way, look at the explosions. I have to fix all this lava. Sometimes it's coming down from the ceiling. It's such a nightmare to deal with. It's not fun, in my opinion. And if you value fun, which you probably should if you're playing a video game, that's a thing you should do. In this video, I corrected as many myths as I could. I could go through more. A lot of people still believe that chunk borders are the best place to mine ancient debris, because sometimes you can find 2 veins at once. But that's, it's not proven out by any data. There are all sorts of, different techniques that people will say are so much better, and there's all sorts of ways you can optimize. If you're looking to optimize and that's what you find fun, then that's a thing you need to do. However, most people are only looking for, 36 ancient debris? One for every single tool you have, and maybe one also for a hoe. And if you're only looking for 36 ancient debris, you can basically decide to yourself, would you rather spend 1.5 hours super efficiently once you've got the right resources, and it's going to be very intense and you might need some potions and some healing stuff, or would you rather maybe go a different way about it and just go for a chilled, relaxed mine where you find some blackstone along the way, you find some flint along the way, and more importantly, you get to ponder, you get to ponder, is the universe cruel or kind, Does, we all act like, yeah, we just, we all act like, yeah, there's just something, about what's specific to me that's super awful and bad. But everyone has, tragedy and pain in their life. How do we live in a world, our world is the best it's ever been, and yet there's still so much awful going on? How is it that we can live in a world that's like that? How can this be the best that humans have gotten to? And that's a scary thing to think about, that as bad as things are right now, they've only ever been worse, and statistically might only ever get worse. Having thoughts that's probably a bit more spirally than I'd like. I like to think, I like to think much happier things, and dive into while you're digging these tunnels, you can think up your next project. You can think up what you'd like to next do. You can even think about, during the course of this video, I've decided I actually do want to make a bunch of fletching tables, because, Minecraft won't give fletching tables a use. Why don't I do it? So, also, now I'm running across this soul sand, I'm thinking, oh yeah, soul speed, I have it on my boots anyway. Maybe I should make some, soul sand pathways. Maybe I should destroy a soul sand valley biome. I can't believe I just left these blocks here. What a silly mistake. Ultimately, it is down to you to decide what it is you value the most, and I hope that you pick wisely. All I know is I've picked up 20 ancient debris today. That's 5 more Netherite ingots, and given that is a crucial time for me to do upgrading Netherite. So the important wrap up to this video, because I can't leave you hanging, is now you need to put your ancient debris in a furnace. It's a shame there's no mega heat enchantment. In the same way you can get fortune for mining gold, there's no equivalent for ancient debris. You just smelt it up and it becomes Netherite scrap. And Netherite scrap is pretty bad until you get 4 of them, at which point it becomes pretty good, because not only do you get a serious amount of XP for smelting it, no one is mining ancient debris just for the XP, I hope, but also, if you have some gold with you already, you can craft 4 of it and 4 gold together to make a Netherite ingot. You've finally finished the journey, unless, obviously, you're playing after 1.20, in which case now you also need to go to a bastion and get a Netherite upgrade template. So, sorry to those of you watching after 1.20 came out. For those of you watching before 1.20, look at the wonderful way that it works. My diamond chestplate, which has the blast protection specifically for this purpose, can immediately become a Netherite chestplate without this extra Netherite upgrade template, which is why I'm deliberately doing this as much as I can. And so, yeah, as well as anyone who's watched my videos is likely doing the same thing, taking full advantage of what is going to be a harder mechanic after this. Also, my Frostwalker boots, God knows I need another pair of these. Let's Netherite upgrade those as well. We're obviously going to have to put some mending on there, but yeah, look at this. You can upgrade as much as you like, and it does cost a whole Netherite ingot each time, but I think it's a totally worthwhile expense, because now look at this. I've got projectile protection, I've got blast protection, I'm just missing fire protection at this point, which I wouldn't need because I've obviously got a fire protection potions. But yeah, the fact is, getting all of the fun different variants of your stuff is fun, and now I can upgrade them with Netherite. And so hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully for those of you watching before 1.20, you get this done in time. And if you're not, then maybe this is a useful reminder. I love to find the weird and fun things in Minecraft Bedrock across all of the various updates. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest advice, as well as honestly just some of the weirdest things that I've done in this world, like a giant banner that vaguely looks like my face. If you want to stay up to date with all that stuff, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because if you do so, it is the best way to stay up to date with the latest videos, and honestly, I'd appreciate it a lot. I'm not going to give you some fake statistic, I'm not going to try and sell you in that way. I just say I'd like it if I saw you in more videos, because it was fun hanging out and chatting, except this was a one-way video, this is a parasocial relationship, but it's one I hope you appreciate, because I'll see you next time. Goodbye.